think right now Instagram is definitely hot. And if anybody listens to any marketing people like Gary Vee, I mean, he's already said it, like once something is hot, it's already on the decline. So there's going to be something else that, comes, and who knows what it is. But I think the main three, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, super important to be on. I think that most people are all using Facebook and Instagram. A lot of people are coming back around to LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a hidden gem. I think that it's like Facebook 10 years ago.
Welcome to the J. Wells CFO Show. I'm the host, Jeremy Wells, enrolled agent. And with me, this episode is going to be a fantastic guest. If you are anywhere between, you have no idea what Instagram is, or if you are out there with thousands of followers, but you're still not exactly sure what you're doing, this is someone who has been incredibly helpful to me as far as my Instagram game, even though that's still in the very early stages. But really her expertise goes way beyond just Instagram, and looking forward to hearing a lot about this. So welcome, Chelsea Peitz, to the episode. And I'm going to turn it over to you. You tell us a little bit about your story and what you do and how you help people.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor. And we got connected through Instagram, which is how I meet most of my community. So I'm really excited to be here talking to you today. So thank you for having me on. And my background is in the real estate industry. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. And I got my license. I was a licensed agent for, I was licensed for 18 years, active for 10. And I got licensed in what I call 2001 BF, which is before Facebook, which means I actually did real estate before we had social media and before we had Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all these things. And now I'm still in the real estate industry. I'm on the title and escrow side. I'm the National Director of Social Sales for the Fidelity National Financial brands of companies all throughout the United States. And I get to work with amazing real estate professionals in all capacities and teach them how to use social media to create trust through technology and build a brand and create content and just, figure out what to post that actually brings them business.
That's so awesome. So yeah, I remember back when I was in college, and I actually had friends that I went to high school with that went to different colleges, and their .edu was eligible for Facebook and mine wasn't yet. And I remember the day rushing to the computer lab because the rumor caught fire on campus that suddenly our college campus was eligible. Our .edu email address was eligible for Facebook, and running to the computer lab in the library and seeing it completely full of people all trying to log on to Facebook so they could register.
I love that story. We didn't have Facebook in college.
Yeah, I know.
We did not. I went to the library to actually check out books and use a public computer because back then we didn't have our own computer.
Right. I think we were on the tail end of that.
That's awesome.
You go to the library for books, era.
Right. Exactly. Right. I love it. That's an amazing story.
But no, I remember that, and I actually got off of it for a long time because it started turning more when it kind of shifted a few years later into more of like what it is today, where anybody and everybody can be on it, and all this kind of stuff. And I got more into Twitter. Actually, I was finding more of a community there, and so Facebook was okay for family. All of a sudden, all your family was on there, and Twitter, nobody had found out what that was yet, and so I shifted over there. But then recently, I've realized that Facebook is coming back almost, as this popular social medium. At least the circles that I've been in, and I know especially realtors, it's a big tool for them to post listings, to form those groups that I'll find one and get suggested that I add one as a friend, and then 5 minutes later I'll get an invitation to like their page, and so I know a lot of them are out there on Facebook trying to push that. So what's been the impact of social media on real estate? Like how is the game different than it was when you got started?
The game is always different in a certain number of years, and it's getting exponentially different as technology evolves, as do many things with disruption. So there are components of it that are still the same, which is in any industry, the people to people, the connections, the being a trusted advisor. that's never going to go away. The manner in which we find, the order in which we conduct the transaction and the research has changed. We have a lot of technology that's fueling our industry. Some people think it's a negative. A lot of people think it's a positive. And that's really, I think, the people who will survive disruption really figure out a way to embrace change and come up with a mindset that says, okay, this is new. And my initial reaction is either fear or I don't like it, but how can I, or how might I, work with it to create something that maybe I hadn't thought of before. So I don't think that's industry specific, but certainly our industry is one that has changed quite a bit, and I believe will continue to change. And I think, social media is becoming a major pillar of any industry's brand reach and creation of trust and content distribution. So that I don't think is industry specific.
Right, absolutely, yeah, and push back even a little bit further. I remember being a kid, and my parents looking for a house, and actually going to the classifieds in the newspaper, and looking at the listings there, and then talking to a realtor, and having to go kind of one house at a time. And now you tell a realtor you're interested in a house, you answer a couple questions, and 10 minutes later you've got an email in your inbox with 20, 30, 40 listings, all from the MLS, and it just seems so kind of instant. So you touched on the fact that some see the technology as good or bad. How, what's the good and what's the bad to you? What's been the biggest changes that has maybe helped realtors, but then also might be something to be wary of as a realtor jumping into social media?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you mentioned that story of your parents who would go to the newspaper and the classifieds and begin maybe kind of some searching there. And then, pretty soon after would contact a real estate agent. And typically that's because those classified ads were for sale by owners. Those were typically people that were selling their own home. If you weren't in that newspaper, you didn't have access to any of that information outside of that. So people would have to go to a professional to get the information. And now that whole process has flipped in many ways. 9 times out of 10, when somebody's beginning a home search, they've done a deep dive research on YouTube or on social media or on the internet and gone to very large, well-known websites where they can, search on their own. And then they may call someone after they've already found the house that they might be looking for. So, the distribution of information has drastically changed. Now, what's continuing to change is as we allow technology, or what they're calling iBuyers, not just tech companies, but companies that have said, how can we look at real estate differently? What if we just bought the home and guaranteed it? And, our industry has been a bit nervous about that. Will this be the death of a real estate agent? And no, the answer is no. But we have to think about how can we become even more transparent? How can we become even more useful and value driven? And that might be, I'm saying might, I'm not saying it's going to be, it might be you thinking about how can I work with an iBuyer? How can I leverage myself to help a consumer make sense of the different options they have? What is the right option for them? Because, consumers are pretty savvy. They're going to ask you, well, what about this company over here? I heard I can go there. What do you know about them? So denial is not a great strategy. But, embracing it, learning about it, understanding it, that's how you can create a strategy around it.
Absolutely. So I think there's a bit of a parallel in our field of real estate and accounting, where there's a relatively large and growing conversation within the accounting industry of how we deal with the fact that bookkeeping is becoming automated, payroll is becoming automated, and now even to the point where tax returns are becoming automated, and not just the simple ones that people would go to some of the online providers, but now maybe even more complex returns, because essentially you're putting numbers in the boxes, right? And so if you can train a computer to put those numbers in the right boxes, then the computer can do it for you. And so we're trying to find ways that we can continue to add value and keep the focus on why you still need a human accountant working for you. And so now in real estate, if I can just go to Zillow, right, and find my dream home
Right.
and click a button,
Right.
where is the space for the realtor, for the real estate agent
Mm.
in 2019, 2020 and beyond?
Yes, I think that's so, I mean, so poignant what you said, that like so many industries with automation, and then we immediately think, oh, like this is going to take us all out. I mean, we think of Uber, right? And we think of like, oh my gosh, the person who owns the taxi cab company is out of business. Well, they just have to shift their business. Maybe now they're becoming they own Turos and they rent out their cars. Maybe they become actual Uber drivers. So it's thinking about how you can still provide a value, and a very human value, and how you can work with technology. I mean, my whole career is about platforms that I don't own, and that I don't make the algorithms, and I don't make the rules. Yet I've made a brand and a business based around how I can help people understand that, and I'm doing all the hard work and distilling it down into a very simplified, easy to understand concept that anybody can then apply. So I think that's that we just get in this mindset of, oh my gosh, like this is terrible, but you just have to think about it a little bit of a different way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get back to what your expertise is here. And originally I heard you on another real estate focused podcast talking about Instagram, and then followed up. It followed you on Instagram and started seeing some of your content there. What is it about Instagram, and it seems like Facebook, that is especially beneficial to realtors as opposed to maybe say some other social media outlets are out there?
Well, I love all of the socials. I'm not, I am partial right now to Instagram, but what's funny about that is that I used to really hate Instagram. Like it was just not my thing. And so I feel like if I can be a convert, like I can get anybody to sort of like enjoy different social medias. Again, it's mindset. It was very different for me. I was used to Facebook. I was huge into Snapchat. And I didn't like Instagram because they stole all the features of Snapchat. And I was like, that's not right. And it was just the whole thing. So I think right now Instagram is definitely hot. And if anybody listens to any marketing people like Gary Vee, I mean, he's already said it, like once something is hot, it's already on the decline. So there's going to be something else that, comes, and who knows what it is. But I think the main three, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, super important to be on. I think that most people are all using Facebook and Instagram. A lot of people are coming back around to LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a hidden gem. I think that it's like Facebook 10 years ago. The reach is awesome. The community growth there, the potential, the conversations that are happening over there, the improved content creation tools, especially if you are really trying to build that professional credibility. I think it's phenomenal. I love Instagram because I really enjoy the stories format. And that component for me is creatively very fun. I love being able to talk to, 20, 30, 100 people a day. I can't physically meet 100 people a day, but I can have those conversations very easily through my phone, and people can feel like they're a part of my behind the scenes and the journey of what I'm doing, which builds that trust as well immediately with people that I may or may not ever meet in person. So that's why I love Instagram, but I love all the socials. So
Yeah, I like I said, it obviously it started off with Facebook, and then I shifted over to Twitter. It just made more sense to me, and so now just recently, I'm trying to learn these other ones. I think one of the barriers to me is and this is part of the draw, the original draw of Twitter to me, was it was, especially a few years ago, it was 99% text. It was micro blogging, right? It was just all text, and then there's a level of, the Facebook of today, and especially Instagram, and this goes into Snapchat as well, and now I think even TikTok, is that there's been this shift almost entirely away from text, to not just visual but video, and a lot of live video. And so, has this changed the way we need to think about social media? Like, is there this shift away from, it's not enough to just write a post. Now people want to actually see you, and not just see a picture of you, but see video of you. And is that maybe something that realtors need to think about when they start getting into social media?
I think any industry needs to be thinking about it. So I wrote a book about how camera first social media has changed human behavior and actually our brains. So I do actually know probably more about this topic than I would say 99.9% of the people in the United States. But what's happening is that we have to stop thinking industry specific. It's human behavior, which is completely, industry is irrelevant. It's human behavior. What's happening is that, I look at the younger generation and my son, who has an expectation that if I don't see you on YouTube, you don't exist. If I can't find you on social media, you are not credible. The only difference between the perfect stranger who could kill me on the street and the Uber driver, and that I trust them, is because they have a digital profile that I can see a photo, a name, and a star rating. So immediately now we've been trained with all of this technology that if I don't find you online and I cannot deep dive stalk you online, I do not want to work with you because I don't trust you, because someone else will have that content. And now I'm expecting you to have your own reality TV show, basically, where, because I'm using stories so much, which, by the way, 280,000 people are making a story every minute on Instagram, versus 55,000 posts in the feed. That's enormous. That's not like a little bit more. That's a huge, huge signal that says people would rather watch stories and talk one-to-one and see the real person's face, because guess what? Our brains activate in the same exact way as if I'm seeing you on a screen, as if I'm seeing you in person right next to me. So we have that trust that builds. So I start to now expect, like, oh, that's weird, they don't have an Instagram story, or I can't find them here, or why don't I see them having posts? And we don't even know what's happening, and it's pervasive in our culture. And so the expectation is that you have content and that I can see your face. And so that means you can't outsource your content or your brand anymore. Sorry to tell you. People ask me all the time, so can I just have my assistant do it? No.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Because I get onto Facebook, and a lot of these realtors that I'm friends or following their pages or whatever, I see a lot of house listings. I see where they posted their MLS listing, and I'm not seeing much of them. And some of the ones that every now and then I'll see them do like a quick walkthrough of a property that they've listed or something. And it's like, okay, thank you for, showing me a little bit about yourself, but you see maybe half a second of their face, and then it's all about the house that they're walking through. And so it's this shaky kind of video walking around. And I feel like they're showing me their product, but they're not really showing me themselves. And so, but you say that there's so many, right? The numbers are staggeringly high as far as what, the amount of content being put there, right? Now there are these, I remember the debt calculator that you'll see these somewhere, and it's the sign that'll show you the current U.S. national debt, right? And it's this ticker with the number that just keeps going up. And now I'm seeing these for the number of new posts to YouTube, the number of new posts to Facebook, and these kind of things. And these numbers are just cycling just almost out of control, it looks like. So how do you jump into this? How do you get started in this and not just look at these numbers and say, I'm way too late to the game. I'm a nobody in the midst of all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like anything. It's funny because it makes me laugh because people think, oh my gosh, like, it's too late for me. That's like saying, okay, well, maybe I wanted to get like a college degree. Yeah, it might take me 4 years, but am I dead yet? No, like I could do it. Like if I wanted to. It's all this mindset around, I'm too late. How do I, I don't have time. I don't know what I'm doing. Like if you want to do something, you'll figure out how to do it. Like 1 million people do it every day by going to YouTube. So it's truly like the same thing of like, yeah, I'm just, oh my gosh, I'm just too busy this morning. I got to go to a meeting. I don't have time to work out. Fill in the blank with whatever it is. It has nothing to do with social media. It has everything to do with, the mindset of either believing it's not valuable, believing that you don't have time, or, believing that, you've always done it one way. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, maybe you shouldn't wait for it to break. Like maybe you could bring in a whole nother, avenue of business. And then people are always like, but my business is so boring. I'm like, yeah, but do you know what I spent an hour doing this morning? I spent an hour watching 12 YouTube videos about a comparison between two white paints for trim, because I need to know specifically what kind of white paint, if it's a yellow undertone or a blue undertone, that I want to put in my new house. Thank goodness somebody actually made 12 videos, because now I know what I'm going to pick. Thank you, people who made boring videos.
Absolutely. Yeah. Having bought two houses in the last three and a half years now. Thank God for the how-to videos on YouTube, right? To
Yes.
how to put something together, how to install something, how
Yes.
to fix something. Without
Yeah.
those videos, I would have spent a lot more money on, a professional to come in to screw in a light bulb, essentially.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so yeah, I think, I the you brought up Gary Vaynerchuk, and I think it a lot of people will be hard pressed not to have at least heard that name by now. But this is one of these. I don't know if influencer is the right title for him, but he's definitely one of these guys that really pushes people to make a name for themselves in social media and this kind of stuff. And a lot of the response that I hear to somebody like him is that he's just everywhere all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this sense of overwhelm of I have to be doing this 24/7, and I have to be doing this on 7 or 8 different platforms all at the same time. Is that true? Do we need to be trying to put as much content out there all the time, or is there a better strategy to get started with this?
I think that I definitely see what Gary's trying to make a point of, is that, more isn't just more in the content game, more is better in a lot of people's eyes. But I'm a realist, and I understand that I'm just one person and I don't have a team. Yet I do make content that I enjoy making every day. I love making stories and I like to do it every day. So I have found something that doesn't feel like it's, oh, I have to do this. A lot of times Instagram posts for me, I feel like I have to do, because it's like a blog post or a podcast. But my Instagram stories, I love. And I don't feel I would actually be sad if I didn't do them. So I think if one, you can find something you like to do, or, you have like the least, amount of heartache over. And I think, it's building habits. I think you get into the habit of, okay, let me make a post once a week. But no, like that's so overwhelming to think I have to be everywhere, every day, all the time. You just would never start. So just pick one thing, do it for a quarter, then maybe add something else. Because guess what? Once you do something for a while, it starts to get easier. So now that I know how to navigate and how to post and what I'm doing, then I'm like, okay, well, that's easy now. I know how to do that. I can add maybe learning how to do some Instagram. And maybe I listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video like, twice, 3 times a week on like a quick tip. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm learning. So no, I mean, that's just not how I'm made. Some people are made. You can be super successful without doing everything everywhere all the time. 100%. Yes. But you have to do something and you have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Good deal. Good deal. So just start. Just get out there and just start.
Just start.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. What So what are you actually doing in your position, right? I can go to your Instagram. A lot of people can go to your Instagram and see you and see what you're posting. But what are you doing to help others in your space to get started on this?
I help by sharing educational content, and I really focus on creating content, on teaching people how to build a brand, use social media, use Instagram, and yeah, I have books, and yes, people pay me to speak. And no, I'm not afraid of giving away all of my secrets. Why would I be? I didn't invent Instagram. I didn't invent the hashtag. So people get very nervous about sharing things, whatever it may be. And there's no need to be nervous. The more you give, the more you get back. So I absolutely, people are like, I can't believe you'd give that away for free. You should put that behind a paywall. And I'm like, why? Like, more people will want to work with me because I've given them so much value. And that is absolutely 100% the case. So my niche truly is very educational content. And that's what I do on pretty much all the platforms. My stories are very personal. And I do a lot of personal photos and pictures with all of my content, but I always have sort of an educational tilt to it.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that fear of giving away the store, I think it's very real, especially in a field like mine of accounting, where if we tell the client or the prospect how we're going to save them on taxes, well, they'll just go off and do it themselves, and we'll lose out on the deal, right? But the tax code is there, it's public, anybody can go read it if they want, right? But who's going to do that?
Right. Exactly.
The rules of debits and credits and how bookkeeping works and all that, it's out there. You can find free copies of something that'll teach you how to do it. Doesn't mean everybody wants to rush out there and start doing it themselves. And so yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of truth to that, and that almost seems to be sort of a generational thing, that this seems to be, I don't know if it's because we came up with and maybe later in our teenage, or like 20 years or something like that, but we came up with social media and the idea of sharing, and just putting a lot more out there, that it just feels more natural to share and not hold back as much. I don't know, but there definitely seems to be this shift toward, the value is in sharing, not in holding back and being exclusive with this information.
Yeah, I just think that people realize that I can find out anything online if I really want to. Like, unless you have some sort of proprietary recipe, I can find out anything online.
Gotcha.
So I think people just feel like, well, okay, then let me just package it and make it something that is really easy to understand. I mean, do I want to spend 40 hours online figuring out tax code? No, but I could if I really wanted to. That's why I'm paying you, because, you're going to tell me and explain it to me, and then you're going to do it. So it's just funny to me that people think that there's, some great, now great, if you have a patented idea or then yeah, certainly don't share it with everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, how to fill out a tax return. That's not secret information, right?
No,
it's just something, and so, yeah, absolutely. So what, in trying to get this message across, what's the biggest challenges that you're facing? What is holding people back that you're interacting with from just jumping out there and doing this? What's holding them back, and what do you tell them to get over that?
People are afraid they won't know what to say. Content is the number one challenge. And people are also afraid of the camera, which I totally get. We hate the way we look. We hate the way we sound. It's very weird and uncomfortable. People are afraid of being judged, which is very human, very normal. So those are the main things, just like the fear of putting yourself out there and being judged, and also what to say, the content. So, the only way to get over the fear of being judged, honestly, is to do it and force yourself to do it. And you're not going to be amazing, and you won't be amazing on the third one or the fourth one or the 10th one, but maybe the 50th one, you'll kill it. But you're not going to get there unless you force yourself to do it. So that's my only advice on that piece. And then, content is such a big fear for people that my next book is all about content. It's going to be about what to say, because, it's hard to get out of our own mindset, because we all have something to say. We all have content. It's endless. We just need to start looking at things in a different lens and start thinking about, I hadn't really thought about it that way. Like, here's an example. If I said to somebody, hey, what is it like to be a parent? That's not like a big question. Like, people will be like, I don't know. It's good, I guess, hard some days. But if I said to somebody specifically, tell me about your son, Mason. What does he like to do? You'd be like, boom, boom, boom. He likes Legos. He likes this, da, da, da. That's easy because you got really specific about the person, right? So you could think about your client. You could think about, a specific day of the year or like a specific trip you've been on. Like we just have to tweak little things like that. And then you start to see content or ideas for content in a little bit of different way.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, because so in accounting we turn to how do I run a business better? How do I start a business? Once you get past the just will this save me on taxes kind of questions, a lot of small business owners look to their accountants as an advisor, as a financial and business advisor, and so that question of just how do I run a better business, right? That's not really the question that anybody's asking,
right?
And
big topic. Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of accountants come into, because there's a shift away from, we were talking about automation. And so there's this shift away from just offering simple compliance, just we'll do your tax return. Work into more of this advisory model. We consider us a business partner, a strategic advisor, or some of the terms that are starting to come out, and it's frankly scaring a lot of accountants. A lot of accountants aren't they don't want to get into that space because now all of a sudden they think their clients are going to come to them expecting
right,
profits to shoot through the roof and all these kinds of things. And really it's the same thing you've been doing all along. Right. It's just giving it a different title. And so I think you're right, because a lot of the conversations, and you're absolutely right. We've got a 2-year-old at home. So that question of what's it like to be a parent, I don't know. It's incredibly overwhelming, but you're absolutely right. If I sit here and I start thinking about, well, what are just some of the things on a day-to-day basis we run into with our daughter, it becomes much more concrete. Like I can have a conversation with another parent, about that question. And so I think there are a lot of these topics that if we sat down with someone one-on-one, it'd be very easy to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. So just see that camera lens as the other person, not as a
person. Yeah, I've even known people that have put a picture of somebody up by their camera, honestly, because when you really do think it's a person, and that's not going to happen right away. You're not going to go get your iPhone out and put a tripod on and go live, your very first live, and be like, that was amazing, I killed it, and I totally felt like it was talking to a person. That's not going to happen. If it does, you're the 1% of the population. You should have an entire career on film, because that does not happen.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, there is certainly a level, there's a hump you just have to get over just mentally. But once you get over that hump, you do kind of get to a point where you look back and you say, that wasn't so bad.
It was not bad. Yeah.
Right. No, that's really interesting. So, for, other than just get started, I think a lot of people, they'll run into the issue of, do I have the right technology? Do I have the right gear? Do I have the right software set up and all of this? Is there any kind of recommendations for all of that you have?
I'm going to start a new thing. I'm going to literally tell people, under no circumstances are you ever to buy any technology. I will not let you do any purchasing of any kind, software, anything at all, for the first 25 videos. I just won't let you do it, because that is an excuse. Nobody needs any equipment. You just need your phone. Every single person has a phone. If you don't have a phone, then you have a bigger problem than figuring out content. So if you have a phone, you will use your phone. Everything else is totally free. YouTube is free. You can podcast for free. Facebook, Instagram, it is all free. My editing I use on an app is free. So no equipment. I don't use equipment at all. Haven't for 5 years. I have, thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. I don't use equipment. So no, the answer is no. Do not purchase any equipment. You want to be Gary Vee and have someone follow you around? For sure. You're going to need some equipment at that point.
Yeah. But for the other 99.9% of us, just pull out your phone and just hit record.
I have equipment. I don't even use it.
You look at it on the shelf and you think, why did I buy that?
Why did I buy this? That expensive camera, I don't even use it.
That's great. That's great. Well, Chelsea has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Want to respect your time. So, if listeners want to get a hold of you, if they've got more questions coming from this, or they want to reach out to you, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you? And feel free to. You mentioned some books that you've got, one coming out. Feel free to give us a plug for that as well.
Yeah, I don't have a title. Well, okay, I think I just came up with a title, but I'm not going to drop it yet.
That's
So the
fine.
book
That's
that's
fine.
coming out, it will be on Amazon, and it's going to be about how to build a powerful personal brand. It's very formulaic. It's a workbook. So it's literally like fill in the blank. It's like Mad Libs for content and branding. So I think we can all do that. I want to make it super simple. This is like 5 years of work put into one workbook, made it very, very simple, how to make good content. That's going to be out, I think, before the holidays on Amazon. And then you can find me on all the socials, but specifically come to Instagram because that's where I'm going to be the most. Send me a direct message. You can find me on all the socials by my first and last name. And I have a strange last name, so I'm going to spell it. It's Peitz, Peitz.
Awesome. Awesome. And I can tell you, I can vouch for that because I came out of nowhere for Chelsea and just said, "Hey, I heard you on this other podcast, thought it was good." And she actually responded. So if you have any doubts, just reach out. So that's fantastic. Again, thank you very much. We'll have links to all of that in the description and show notes so that people can get to that. Any final thoughts? Anything else you want to say before we close this out?
I just want to tell you that, all the people that have nerves or about content or creation or social media, I'm here to tell you, I am not a digital native. I did not, grow up with a phone. I didn't have like an actual cell phone until I was probably in my mid-20s. You can do this. It's not too late. It's a tool like anything else. I mean, we would, if somebody said that they didn't have a phone, specifically a smartphone, we would look at them like they were crazy. So that's what you need to look at, social media and content. It's just part of what we do. It's part of what you do, and take one step at a time, pick one little thing and do it. And you don't have to dive in and actually start creating. You can actually just make your content be your comments and talk to people.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's definitely a strategy I've heard a lot is just ping people, just make a comment, just DM them and don't worry. They're not going to yell at you for that.
Be a super fan. We all want super fans, and it's a great way to build your brand.
Awesome. Awesome. Good deal. Well, again, Chelsea, thank you so much for being here. This has been the J Well CFO Show. I am Jeremy Wells, the host. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check the show notes and descriptions for links to what we've talked about in this episode. You can find me at J Well CFO across all the social media, including LinkedIn. I'm probably not as active on there as I should be, but I'm working on that, trying to build that up. But also Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, of course. And so thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great day.